Alex, our business is, focused on helping, business to business transactions work wonderfully well between two organizations. So, with that in mind, what is it that makes people buy?
Yeah. It's a great question, Gareth. And if you think about it, whilst we deal with principally business to business relationships, most of those relationships are transacted between people. And we need to remember that people that are taking decisions are human beings, and people buy for a reason. So, in the commercial sense of the word, people will be buying to satisfy the needs of their organization, but clearly they will also buy to satisfy their own needs. And, in effect, people have an urge to need to have their needs satisfied. And where there is desire in there, and if you like, that becomes a want, that's even more powerful. So if you think about people in commercial organizations, they will be targeted to achieve certain KPIs, for example. They'll have certain metrics or measures that they need to achieve, either in the moment or more globally over a longer period of time. If those objectives and measures are attained, they're going to be more successful. So our job in the commercial world is to really make it our business to have a fundamental and deep knowledge of what those are, both from a needs perspective, but also where the desire comes in. So from a wants perspective too.
So it's interesting, isn't it? Because that's the human bit, if you like, almost sometimes gets forgotten in the commercial world. So, it's equally important to think about that. But I suppose it begs another question, which is you often hear sort of needs versus wants. So what's the difference between those two things?
Well, a need is a fundamental. It's something that you have to achieve. A want can also be assigned to a fundamental need, but it also can be something which is optional. But the thing about a want is that there is desire behind it. In other words, somebody is emotionally driven to attain it. And this is why it's so important for us as commercial beings to listen, to hear what people are saying about what's important to them, and hear the tonality, hear the energy they put into describing what's important to them. So you can empathize with that, hear it, understand it, and then do something about it. I mean, think about the times that you either in a commercial situation or a personal situation, when your needs are met, when you feel heard. Remember how good that feels and how likely you are to, turn that experience into a positive, into a yes, and also how positively predisposed you are to coming back and engaging in that conversation again in the future.
And that's interesting, isn't it? So, that positivity, you're talking about some real core human things here. How often do we see like a proposal where, you get sent a spreadsheet? And it's those fundamental human things that often get missed in that. And I wonder how often that leads to dissatisfaction on both sides because that human understanding is missed.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I know subject of another video is to look at some of the 6 core human needs that we need to satisfy as salespeople. And we'll come back to that another time. But ultimately, if we can listen, truly understand, demonstrate that understanding, and then bring to life our solutions, connecting those two things together, we're onto a winner.